Okay, let's dive in. Imagine this. You're exploring one of the most, well, extreme places on Earth, the Himalayas, and you find something totally unexpected.
Yeah, something that really makes you stop and think, wait a minute, what's that doing here?
Exactly. And that's pretty much what happened in Nepal's Langtang National Park. So today, we're doing a deep dive into the world of clouded leopards.
And specifically, a recent study that kind of turned our understanding of where they live on its head a bit.
Clouded leopards. They sound amazing. Now, for anyone listening who's maybe new to this field, what exactly do we mean by conservation? Why is it important?
That's a really good starting point.
Yeah.
So conservation, in simple terms, it's like being a guardian for nature.
Okay.
It's about protecting wild animals, the plants, the habitats, their homes, really so that they, stick around for the future.
Makes sense.
And clouded leopards are actually a great case study for why this is so vital. They're one of the least known of the bigger wildcats. There's still so much mystery surrounding them.
Really? I guess when you think big cats, you jump to lions, tigers.
Right. But clouded leopards, they're masters of disguise, incredibly elusive.
Ah,
They live deep in the forests across Asia, and unfortunately, a lot of those forests are vanishing quickly.
that's worrying.
Yeah. In fact, people actually thought they were completely gone from Nepal until they were rediscovered back in 1987.
Wow, so they were thought to be extinct there.
Locally, yes. And what's also really interesting is how their neighbors change.
Hmm.
Depending on where they are in Asia, they share their forest patch, their sort of neighborhood, with different groups of other cat species.
Oh, right.
Scientists sometimes call this a guild, basically.
Mm.
Different types of cats living in the same place, potentially competing, potentially interacting in complex ways.
A cat guild. Okay, so a very secretive cat, dwindling forests, different feline roommates. Sounds like a setup for some surprises.
Precisely.
Ah.
Which brings us to this study in Langtang National Park in Nepal.
So what did they do? And what was this eyebrow-raising discovery?
Well, between 2014 and 2015, researchers put out these things called camera traps.
Right, the hidden cameras.
Exactly, like automatic wildlife photographers. They set up 84 pairs of these cameras, left them running for 107 days. And crucially, they placed them at different elevations, different heights,
How high are we talking?
from about 1,800 meters right up to almost 4,000 meters ASL.
And ASL is?
Oh, sorry, above sea level, just how high the land is compared to the ocean.
Got it. So cameras watching across a big range of altitudes, what popped up?
This is the kicker. They got photos of clouded leopards way, way up as high as 3,498 meters.
Whoa, okay. Is that unusual?
Hugely unusual. Before this, the highest confirmed sighting, the absolute record, was around 2,300 meters.
So more than a kilometer higher.
Exactly, finding them that much higher. It's a really significant discovery. It fundamentally shifts our understanding of just how high these supposedly forest-dwelling cats can actually live.
Wow. Yeah, that's like finding a lowland species thriving way up a mountain. It really changes the map, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It suggests their known geographic range in Nepal could be much bigger than we ever thought.
So maybe stretching right across the country.
Potentially, yeah.
Huh.
From the southern lowlands, the Terai, maybe right up to the border with Tibet. It really highlights Langtang National Park as a super important place to understand these animals' adaptability.
Okay, so they're living in these really high, unexpected places. Why is that such a big deal from a conservation perspective? Why should you or I really care about this?
That's the key question, isn't it? Think about it like this. An animal's limits where it can't live anymore are often set by physical things, like how cold it gets or how dry.
Okay.
And these high-altitude Himalayan zones, they're predicted to experience climate change much faster and more intensely than the global average.
Ah, right. So they're like an early warning system.
In a way, yes. Scientists are talking about significant temperature jumps there in the coming decades. If the climate shifts dramatically up there, it changes everything for the animals.
Like where they can find food or even just survive.
Exactly. It can shift where animals live, how they interact. And because clouded leopards are top predators, they're at the peak of the food chain.
Hmm.
What happens to them can send ripples, cascading effects is the term scientists use, right down through the entire ecosystem.
Like pulling a thread in a tapestry.
Precisely. If their main food source moves higher to escape the heat, the leopards might have to follow, bumping into other species, changing the whole dynamic up there.
Right. And you mentioned Langtang is a protected area.
It is, established back in '76, but unfortunately it also lies along a known route for illegal wildlife trade.
Oh, great. Another threat.
Yeah. So knowing where these clouded leopards actually are, especially in these new high-altitude spots, helps focus conservation efforts, helps protect them from poaching too. This discovery really makes Langtang a crucial laboratory for understanding how cat species compete and how prey availability works in these really tough changing environments.
That makes total sense. So the study wasn't just, yep, saw one, it looked at their behavior too. What did the cameras tell us about their lives up there?
Yeah, they looked at something called occupancy, which sounds technical, but it's basically trying to figure out how widespread they are in that area.
Like, how likely are you to bump into one?
Sort of. They first just counted the spots where they got a photo, but then they used some clever statistics to estimate the likelihood of them being present, even if the camera didn't happen to snap a picture that day.
Okay, accounting for the fact they might just miss them?
Exactly. And that estimated occupancy came out around 10.1%. So while they weren't everywhere, the analysis suggests they're using about a tenth of that surveyed high-altitude habitat.
Okay, a significant presence then. What about their daily routine? Night owls, early birds.
Mostly active around dawn and dusk, the term is crepuscular.
Crepuscular. Got it.
And also at night, nocturnal. They seemed least active right in the middle of the day.
Makes sense for avoiding heat, maybe? Or humans.
Could be both. Interestingly, the other cats they found, common leopards and leopard cats, had pretty similar activity patterns overall.
All active around the same times. Sounds like rush hour at the hunting grounds.
It could lead to competition, definitely. But importantly, the study noted that the peak activity time for clouded leopards overlapped really well with the peak activity of musk deer.
A potential clue about dinner.
Exactly. It strongly suggests musk deer might be a key food source for them at these high altitudes.
That's fascinating. And you mentioned other animals popped up on camera.
Oh yeah. Besides the clouded leopards, they got common leopards, leopard cats, and even jungle cats. Plus some other cool stuff like the large Indian civet and the Himalayan porcupine.
Quite the mountain menagerie. Was there enough food, enough prey for all these predators across the different heights?
It seems so. The study found that potential prey animals for both clouded and common leopards were present across the different elevation zones they surveyed.
Even way up high.
Yep. While some prey animals got a bit scarcer higher up, things like the Himalayan sero, Himalayan growl, and those musk deer, they were found at all the elevations studied. So food seemed to be available, even in the tougher spots.
That's actually quite surprising. So how did these different cats, and maybe humans, all fit together? Did they avoid each other?
Well, the study found some interesting patterns. For common leopards, the strongest clue for where they'd be was the presence of muntjac deer, another likely prey item.
Okay, they follow the food.
Seems like it. Leopard cats, interestingly, were often found where other cat species were present, and also, perhaps surprisingly, in areas with higher signs of human activity.
Really? Closer to people.
Yeah, it's a bit counterintuitive. Maybe they're more adaptable to human presence, or perhaps find food sources like rodents near settlements. It's not entirely clear.
And did they manage to avoid stepping on each other's toes, schedule-wise?
There was some evidence of what scientists call temporal partitioning, basically adjusting their schedule slightly.
Sharing the clock?
Kind of. While the overall patterns were similar, clouded leopards and leopard cats seemed a bit more active in the evening, just when common leopards were becoming less active.
A subtle shift.
And perhaps unsurprisingly, all three cat species showed less activity during peak daylight hours, which is often when human activity is highest in the park.
Smart cats, learning to work around us. So, clouded leopards lined up with musk deer. What about common leopards? What did their activity sync up with?
Their active times overlapped most with wild boar, musk deer, red muntjac, Himalayan sero, and Himalayan goral.
Wow, a wider potential menu, it sounds like.
It seems that way, yeah. Or at least their active times coincide with more potential prey options in that specific area.
Okay, let's pull this all together. We've got these incredibly elusive cats living much higher than anyone expected, possibly munching on musk deer, and doing a delicate dance to avoid other cats and humans. What's the bigger picture here? What does this all mean?
Well, first off, finding them at these altitudes suggests there might simply be more clouded leopards in Nepal than previously estimated.
Okay.
The researchers did a very rough calculation, a sort of extrapolation, suggesting maybe around 40 individuals just in Langtang National Park, which, for such a rare cat, is significant.
40 isn't a huge number, but way more than 0.
Exactly. And this study also updates the known ranges for other animals too: jungle cats, those civets, porcupines, compared to the global maps from the IUCN, the International Union for Conservation of Nature.
So one study is rewriting the maps for several species?
In this region, yes. It also feeds into that bigger climate change discussion.
Right, the idea of animals moving uphill.
Precisely. As lower areas warm up, mountain species might be forced higher. And the Himalayas have this kind of unique hourglass shape. They actually get wider again at mid to high altitudes.
Oh, interesting. So more potential room higher up.
Potentially, yes, between about 3,500 and 5,500 meters. Finding a forest-dependent species like the clouded leopard apparently thriving up there, it could be an early sign of these kinds of climate-driven shifts actually happening.
So it's a potential indicator of much larger ecological changes underway.
It could be. And it also connects to global concerns about prey decline for big cats, especially in Southeast Asia. That link they found between common leopards and muntjac here. If muntjac numbers were to drop, it could make the common leopards vulnerable.
A potential weakness?
Mm-hmm. And then there's the ever-present issue of illegal trade. We don't know the scale in Langtang, but it's a constant threat for clouded leopards, and park authorities are working on protection. We should also remember the massive earthquake in 2015.
Oh, right. The Gorka earthquake. That must have devastated parts of the park.
It caused huge landslides. Future research could even look at how that disaster might have impacted clouded leopard habitat use in the longer term.
Wow. Okay, this has been really eye-opening. So if we sort of boil it all down,
Yeah.
this study found these super elusive cats in really surprising high places.
Yep, much higher than expected.
Which tells us they're more adaptable than we thought, and it gives us vital clues about how they, and maybe other mountain species, might cope with a rapidly changing world.
That's the core takeaway. This discovery really highlights why continuous research and monitoring are so critical. Understanding how these animals live, how they adapt or struggle with change, is fundamental if we want to effectively conserve them.
Absolutely. And it shows that even discoveries in seemingly remote, faraway places can tell us important things about the health of our whole planet.
Definitely.
It really leaves you thinking, if clouded leopards are showing up in unexpected spots like this, what other secrets are hiding in these high Himalayan ecosystems? And maybe more recently, what do we need to do now to understand and protect these fragile places before climate change and other pressures alter them forever?
That's the critical question, isn't it? It's a challenge, but also an incredible opportunity to learn more about life at the extremes.
Absolutely. Something for all of us, including you listening, to really think about.